Pop Jedi. This is episode 15. I'm, of course, Rob DiLauro, and with me, as always, Miss Di Marie. Di, what is going on?
Hello, happy to be back.
Looks like the team got bitten this week. And, of course, we got JennaSayWhat. Jen, how you doing?
Hey.
We've got our Dawn of the Dead episode now, 2004's Dawn of the Dead. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. So it's kind of like this is a double shot of Snyder's Undead. And, of course, we're going to be talking about Army of the Dead this week. But we've got a bit of Top Jedi news and some news that actually came out today on the day we're recording. So, Jenna, what's going on in Top Jedi this week?
So they finally are releasing the rest of the cast for Sandman, and it looks epic. Like I'm so excited about this. Death is my girl, so I'm really excited to see how Kirby Howell Baptiste is gonna play her. I'm delighted. I'm over the moon that they finally released it.
Diana, what's going on in Top Jedi this week?
So Norman Reedus is working with AMC to create a series based off of the movie Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a film in 1965 by Russ Meyer. It's kind of like a low budget exploitation film. So it's about three go-go dancers who go on a kidnapping, killing spree in California. So this looks really interesting. Basically what they're going for in this series is they're trying to pay an homage to the original story as well as delve more into the stories of the main characters. So we don't have a release date or anything like that yet, but I'm excited to see Norman Reedus working on a show with strong female characters.
I think it's, I think the whole idea is fascinating. I'm a huge, fan of exploitation and stuff. This is definitely part of that genre. Like Switchblade Sisters, I love that movie. I love the old blaxploitation films, like, Blackula, when Pam, Scream, Blackula, Scream, when Pam Grier was introduced, Foxy Brown, all that stuff. I'm a huge fan of that too. So this is an old Russ Meyer joint. And the thing that's really cool about it is that the estate of Russ Meyer's actually greenlit this thing. So
yeah,
it's not like
it
Norman's going behind anybody's back or anything like that. He's actually going to be very faithful to adapting this thing the right way in in a modern interpretation. And I think it's great. And obviously that just shows you the longevity and what Norman's able to do to AMC. I don't think they're ever going to tell him no. So we got some big news in Top Jedi just today that dropped, and I'm really personally excited about this because speaking of Walking Dead, Danai Gurira is actually getting her own offshoot series. It's a Okoye from, of course, Black Panther and Infinity War, Endgame. I love the Dora Milaje. I love, what Falcon the Winter Soldier and, all these different offshoot shows are doing with those characters, because it just shows how powerful those females are. And there's nothing tongue-in-cheek about it. It is like, just strong Black women, and they will kill you. There's no question, no questions asked. Jenna, what's next in Top Jedi this week?
So funny that you mentioned that, or so Howard University named its Fine Arts College for Chadwick Boseman. So there was a change.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, because I know that he was very devoted to Howard.
Yep.
Gave money to Howard. He was always, doing like dissertations, when students graduated. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. It still breaks my heart that he's not here, because there's so much more that he had in his arsenal when it comes to his acting. I mean, just everything that he did in life, just seemed like a really just remarkable man, all across the board. It's it still hurts. It still really hurts. And it's going to hurt to see this, like this whole Black Panther incarnation occur, and, him not being part of it, except for maybe, that they'll put a statue in his honor or something, in T'Challa's honor or whatever. That's beautiful though. I love that Howard actually did that.
I do too.
Di, what's next in Top Jedi?
So with Evil Dead Rise, this will be coming to HBO Max by New Line Cinemas. Instead of taking place in the woods like it did in the originals. This is actually going to be taking place in the city. So the story is going to focus more on two estranged sisters that kind of have to survive these demonic entities. According to Bruce Campbell, the whole premise of Evil Dead is ordinary people overcoming extraordinarily terrifying situations. So I'm really excited to see where they're going to go with this. We don't have any release date as of yet, but they'll be starting production in New Zealand next month.
Yep, that's true. And the only thing I have to say about this is, I mean, Bruce Campbell's been saying it for years. Like he likes the everyman. So if there's a plumber or something that gets thrust into a terrifying situation, like he's into that type of thing. Yeah. So these are two estranged sisters, according to the plot summary. Who already have their own internal struggle going on when it comes to their family. It's a dynamic. Yeah. And then, so that seems pretty fascinating itself. Because I stand by the remake. I love the character of Mia. I love the fact that she was a recovering heroin addict and they were trying to get her clean and all that stuff. I think it worked really well. So I think they know what they're doing, and if people don't like it, the only person they can throw a rock at is their heroes, because Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are the ones that are helming the wheel on this one. So Jenna, what's next in Top Jedi?
So maybe seeing another Snyder hashtag, going around, which is the release the Snyder punch. Jenna, I know, sucker punch. Jenna Malone and Abby Cornish have been tweeting about it. They want the Snyder cut released.
Abby Cornish now? Really? Get out.
Yeah, of Sucker Punch. So me personally, I'm really excited about it. I thought it was a really good film. But I mean, we are seeing Snyder cuts being released. Nothing is official, nothing's set in stone. He hasn't really spoken about it, but like, man, if we can.
I think when he did his interview, he did a career retrospective with Vanity Fair, and I think that was the time where he actually said, there is a definitive director's cut for Sucker Punch without any interference. He said, I'm just going to say that out loud. And that's, that's a dog whistle.
Yeah. I mean, no other way we're seeing it right now. Like the alarms are being sounded. They're like, yes, give us a Snyder cut. Like,
yeah. And the thing that I loved, about, it's funny because I've always enjoyed Sucker Punch, for the visual aspect and for what it was.
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie.
But also, like when he was being taught, like this is one thing I didn't know because he had just said this recently, and it just rang more true in terms of what he was trying to bring to this, particular story that people just thought was complete and utter sexist nonsense. And he was saying that, even the, just their clothing and just the way they were, yep. The sexual aspect, it was kind of like an indictment on comic book fans. Like, this is what you expect them to look like.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is like, oh,
yeah. I loved that. I loved that movie from the very start because coming from like an abusive household where I had a step parent that was like crazy abusive, and like if he was able to, he would have lobotomized me too. So like I like resonate with, or Baby Doll resonates with me because it's just like, I feel that. Like that's exactly what would happen to me too.
Di, what's next in Top Jedi?
So there's a lot going on for Hellraiser fans. We're going to be getting a Hellraiser reboot coming to Hulu. This will be directed by David Bruckner. He also directed The Night House and The Ritual.
Yes.
Let's see. So the story is going to be a lot more grotesque. It was said that's going to be a hard R, which is excellent. And we're going to be embracing Cenobites in this story. It looks like Clive Barker will be having some involvement in this film, but we're just not sure how much. We're still in the early production phases, so we don't have a release date or an official storyline or anything like that. And on top of the movie, there's also going to be a separate series being released on HBO Max, and we're still waiting on that. So I'm really excited.
So last week, again, we talked about Dawn of the Dead 2004, which we all felt was a superior remake, and a great introduction to Zack Snyder and his work. Here we are in 2021. We got a whole new, different story, a whole new world-building franchise. Of course, we're talking about Army of the Dead, which, you know, oddly enough, I actually thought was a sequel to Dawn of the Dead. It's not. It's a whole different thing. You know, and the thing I love about this the most is that, you know, if you go on YouTube, you can actually see, you know, these tutorial videos. Basically, it's basically like a master class. It's called Snyder School, where he talks about, you know, like the cinematography and the makeup and all this stuff. And, you know, that just means that Netflix knows who they have in their camp, and they're treating Zack with the absolute utmost respect that he deserved from Warner Brothers years and years ago. And it's so refreshing to see that, you know, like, he's being taken care of. And obviously Netflix, you know, really just adores him and what he can do with this movie that's eventually going to become an animated series and a prequel this year, Army of Thieves, which focuses on the safecracker Ludwig Dieter.
Oh, I loved him.
There's so much stuff that's coming out from Army of the Dead. There's actually a Geek Week that's going to be happening. Netflix is doing their own kind of like Comic-Con thing, and they're going to be making a bunch of announcements. And from what I hear through the grapevine, there's actually going to be an Army of the Dead announcement. I don't know what it is. Nobody really knows.
Excellent.
It could actually be a sequel announcement, or it could just be like, you know, hey, you know, here's some animation from the animated series or something. Who knows? But this is, you know, this is a moneymaker, no question. And you know, they know that, and they know that, you know, like, Zack has the abilities to you know, do some great things for a company, although some companies may not see that. So Army of the Dead just recently came out on Netflix. If you guys haven't watched it, check it out. I think, you know, just like any Zack Snyder joint, or any, you know, joint in particular, it's divisive. I think a lot of people had problems with it, and a lot of people absolutely adore it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really enjoyed it. I do have my issues with it, but it was an entertaining ride from beginning to end. And I really don't have any real negative things to say about it. But I don't know. What did you guys think of your experience with Army of the Dead, Diana?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that it's amazing that Zack Snyder is getting all the recognition that he deserves. I obviously follow a lot of horror pages on social media, and even my friends that don't like horror movies, I see them talking about it. And I think that this movie is very well received by the public. And I don't know, I just thought that it was really scary. It was funny. It had all of Zack Snyder's trademarks in it that I enjoyed watching. And the way that he brought these undead characters to life was really unique compared to what we've seen in other zombie movies, just like what I've expected. So I just thought it was an amazing movie all around. The only complaint that I had about it was I thought that it was kind of predictable.
Yeah.
But other than that, the special effects and the characters were awesome.
What did you think, Jenna? I mean, I know you probably had a different experience because you're terrified of zombies. So.
I am. I'm terrified of zombies. However, I was just like, oh my God. Like, I watched that movie on 2 times speed because I was like, my heart can't take these movies. So like, I rushed through it. And like, even with it at 2 times speed, I got everything from it. But like, oh my God, I want to know everything about the zombie, like, king and queen. And like, I have to know, because like, I want to make her outfit so bad now. And I've never wanted to be involved in zombie lives. I've never wanted to cosplay a zombie. And now, totally shattered. I love this movie. Like, this is probably my top #1 zombie film now, because I just,
wow.
God, it was
High
so
praise.
good.
I don't think that
The
people were
bar was set
expecting it
kind
to
of
be
low,
that
though,
good.
so like,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, I thought I was gonna be terrified of the fast running zombies, but you know why? It's because I like rules. the reason that I like Halloween and things like that is because you have your set rules. Those zombies had set rules. He just broke the code, everybody.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to the two main actors that did play the alphas, and that one of the actually Zeus or the King was played by Richard Citrone.
Yep.
And I had mentioned before when we talked about Army of the Dead that I was getting Ghost of Mars vibes from the trailers when they were released, and he was actually Big Daddy Mars in John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. So yeah, I rest my case on that one. And of course, Athena Perample, who played the Queen zombie, was amazing, and just the way she was lithe, and her movements, and
she's I believe she's a ballet dancer, is what I read.
Yes, and also a stunt woman. Yes, she just did some stunt work for WandaVision. Believe it or not,
she despite being a zombie, she still had like that creepy kind of like pose, but it was so beautifully like.
I oddly in a weird way thought she was beautiful. I really did. I thought she was.
And I also wonder if the reason that they put this specific actress into that role is because that costume looks like a dancer costume.
Well, it looks like it was just like a Vegas showgirl that just got pulled off the street by the main alpha, and that's why she was wearing the costume. I want to know about their love.
I want to know everything. I want to know how they met. Did they have long walks on like the sand, like next to like the lake or whatever? I don't know.
Where do zombie babies come from?
Oh my god!
They probably just met and then just started like sniffing each other like dogs. Like,
oh, but that's still sweet. Like, oh, I bet he just was like smitten with her.
Like, how did that whole relationship happen? How did they become the king and queen? Like, we need these answers.
So let's talk about the performances. I thought the characters, for the most part, were standouts. And it was interesting, like even the YouTube influencer, like, he was just like all hot air, like he honestly didn't really do anything. It was, it was, like his buddy Chambers, who obviously was a, kind of a carbon copy of Vasquez from Aliens in so many ways, including bandana over her head. She was the badass out of those two.
She's amazing.
So are there any standout characters for you? And I just want to say this. I know that originally Dave Bautista didn't want to do this role because he wanted to do more dramatic acting. He doesn't want to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He actually wants to do some really serious stuff. He really had some wonderful acting chops in this movie, I thought, especially the dynamic with him and his daughter. I think that really resonated, I think.
Yeah. So like for me, because I have to look up names because I'm terrible with names. But Marianne and Ludwig, like those two, like God, they stole my heart. Like I just absolutely adored them. And like God, it was just they did such a great job in this. And I loved it. So Tig Notaro, like she just the fact that she did that like as kind of like a stand-in and like no one else was around her, like mwah, like hats off to her. She pulled something off that probably couldn't have been done by many actors or actresses out there, and it's just wow, it's impressive.
Yeah, and obviously like she was we had already told the story of what happened. There was some scumbag, like comedian that was supposed to take the role, and she ended up, dropped, getting dropped in and taking over.
Which
and like I said before, that green screen for me was absolutely flawless. Zack even goes through, like how he was, able to do the cinematography and, incorporate her, like, with, more ease than it should have been. That should have been a real headache. And she just really loved the experience, and she just said she goes, yeah, I'd love to meet my co-stars one day. She goes, I thought I was the star of the movie for a while because I was the only one on set.
What
she was definitely a vibe, like where she was just like, you know what, she goes, yes, that's a huge amount of money. I hate my life so deeply, she said.
That resonated with me so deep because like I was just like, oh man, that's me. That's me. I feel you. Like,
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yes. You need a
yes,
helicopter?
I
I'm your
got you.
guy. Yes, like
She
Yes.
had nothing to lose. She didn't care. She's like, oh, 5 minutes. I'm just tanning right now.
She's like, see ya. Like, God, what a rock star. What an absolute rock star she is.
and I also loved I loved the coyote too.
Oh
I thought
yeah.
she
Yeah,
was
those are my two favorite characters
amazing.
too. Mm-hmm.
You know, the woman who really knows the lay of the land, that knows
Uh
that knows these, you know, like zombies like people like the back of her hand. She knows everything
yeah.
about that particular area. So let me ask you this, guys, because honestly, they get hired to do this heist, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got one guy who's, you know, the bodyguard, dare I say the useless bodyguard of, this Japanese magnate who obviously has tons and tons of money already.
Easy.
You know, the interesting thing about this movie is that there really never had to be a heist at all. You know what I mean? Like they could have
Yep.
just like, first of all, they could have hired like 4 other people like Garrett Dillahunt and the Coyote that don't care. They don't give a shit what you're doing. You just give them a bunch of money, like, hey man, we're not going to ask any questions.
Right.
And just like, just open that, open that shutter and like, head in there and grab a head like immediately as soon as you walk in. And the heist just seemed like just a big ruse that really technically didn't need to happen, which is kind of weird.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
never thought about that, and I'm going to ignore your statement just so I enjoy the movie.
No, I'm just saying, like I guess they
I
just
don't
thought
want
that
your
these
logic.
I guess he just thought that these people, like were just like these legal eagles and they were just gonna be like, like they were just gonna be like, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? This and that. And they
Oh no,
didn't
I
really
wouldn't
know
do it.
anything about them like emotionally or whatever. I don't think they did any kind of psychological analysis or whatever. I'm just saying, like, it just seemed like a weird, lame duck for them to just go and get money out of this casino that they had no interest in at all. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, but I'm just saying, like, that's just my logic, going a certain way. And, you can ignore that.
When you guys watch the movie, I don't know if you guys do the same thing, but when I watch those scary scenes, I try to put myself in that position. I'm like, how can I get out? You know what I mean? Like I'm terrible with names too, but when they drag that one character into the hotel that's being sacrificed, I just kind of put myself in that position. I'm like, what would I do? And then I just thought that scene was really effective because I just felt really claustrophobic and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I haven't been that creeped out by a movie in a long time. So I just really loved how they played those scenes out.
Well, if you actually look at these Snyder School videos that he's doing on YouTube now, like he actually used like, he did use modern cameras, but he was using like these old lenses from like the 60s or whatever, because it gives you kind of like this like, creamy feel when it comes to the actual, like visual themselves. It was all shot in natural light. And like he had a very, very small depth of field when it came to the actors. So like I think it was, it was built to look claustrophobic that way because like, it was such a small
perfectly
close
done.
space for, him to actually film in or whatnot. And I think that was very effective. Just the natural light, I think like that's unique. You don't really get to see that a lot. I know people like, cry and scream about sunspots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I
there
really
was
honestly
some
felt like I was
stories.
with that team because of the way it was filmed. I thought that was really beautifully executed. Just the actual, the cinematography itself, which was all Zack. The direction was Zack. The screenplay was Zack. The cinematography was Zack. He's amazing. I mean, there's no. I'm not gonna mince words. What was your favorite moment in the entirety of the film?
Oh, there's so many.
Oh.
As sad as it was when you saw the king's seeing his queen's corpse
Oh,
and then
yeah.
him seeing the fetus, I thought that was really effective because I don't think we've ever really had a movie where zombies had that type of emotional depth.
Yes.
So
Oh,
that
well,
was
iZombie, but that's
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
but yeah, as far as zombie flicks go, no. I loved it. That
Well, I
was-
mean, you could also say that, like, because I'll say it right now. I mean, obviously, it's an LA zombie story, but Death Becomes Her is definitely a zombie film.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For sure.
also in the beginning of the movie, with the mother trying to find her daughter.
Oh God. Oh.
Yeah, let's talk about that montage because we don't really see a lot of people that are actually, they're telling a story within a story.
Yeah.
Right.
Where Snyder was really, like that was the prequel. If you were really seriously paying attention,
Yeah.
you found out everything that you needed to know, that this team, the reason why he got certain members of this team together was they were part of this search and rescue situation in Las Vegas. And, like, I just thought, oh my God, it was so amazing. Just,
that
how
was
he
so
did that.
beautiful. Like it was so beautifully done. It like oh
how
my
you randomly
God.
just see Liberace in the beginning of the montage.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
hello,
There's so
welcome to
many
Las Vegas. And then all of a
random
sudden,
weird
the
Easter
zombies
eggs.
start running around.
it was so beautifully done. I've never seen anything like that in any film that I've ever seen. Like it was so good.
And he brought Richard Cheese back from Dawn of the Dead 2004. It was Richard Cheese and Alison Krauss doing Viva Las Vegas. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just really super effective because, like I said, like it was like a movie within a movie.
Yeah.
I don't think people use the, like when they use a montage, they just use it in like a, like in a Rocky way, like, oh yeah, we're exercising or whatever, we're cleaning a house or whatever. But there's so much imaginative, great things that you can do with the montage and an opening of the film that a lot of people don't. Oh, let's talk about the tiger. The zombie tiger that used to belong to Siegfried and Roy.
Yes.
What did you guys think of that? I love that there were zombie animals. I think the one film that was actually going to try to touch on that was Train to Busan, because if you remember the beginning of that movie, the deer actually like kind of eerily gets up, and it's like an undead deer in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I do love the idea of animals, being interjected into this world. I thought it was great. I thought it worked really well.
Yeah, especially with the king and queen storyline, I thought that was perfect.
Any thoughts on the tiger, Jenna?
I liked it. I thought it was like kind of a nice way for that dude to die.
Oh, totally. Oh yeah.
True.
Absolutely.
Justice. That tiger did exactly what I wanted to do.
And here's the other thing. I don't understand why he was trying to screw them over and kill them all. They had no idea what his plan was.
Yeah. He just wanted
so basically, it was just like, I'm going to lock you guys in here just to be a dick.
Yeah, he was a psychopath.
I think so. Because there was really no real motivation of why he'd want to murder every single one of those people.
He's got to kill.
I think they were all very, to most degrees, they were kind to him. I would, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they weren't like, throwing up against the wall, like, listen, this is our mission, and you're going to do what we tell you to do, or anything like that. It was just like, he's a dick. But he got his, and like in brutal fashion, that was incredible when he got
well deserved.
Face chewed off by the tiger.
And the way the tiger was toying with him too.
That's a good kitty.
So let me ask you guys this, because we are, like, there's so much we could talk about when it comes to this film, but what do you actually want to see come out of this? Because obviously, we have a character who was bit, by an alpha. So of course, like it seems like he's heading off to Mexico City. Am I right about that?
Right. Yeah.
And, obviously he's going to be the next outbreak if I had to take a guess. But what do you guys want to see from this particular franchise, in terms of your own like hopes and dreams, loving the movie as much as you did?
Jenna and I had a very in-depth conversation about how we want to know the origins of the king and queen.
Everything. I want a whole backstory series. I want to know everything. I want I want them to have like some like 80s like soundtrack music playing as she flips her hair and he looks over at him
Saxophone.
and he
Yeah.
looks at her and he's like, yeah, that's the one. That's what I want.
Like a WandaVision with zombies. Kind of.
Yeah, I want a zombie romance film, TV show, one hit. I don't care. Just give it to me because I need to know. I need to know
Right.
how they connected. Did they know each other before they got turned?
Mhm.
Did they meet as zombies? How did they fall in love? Did they walk on the beach together? I need to know these things.
Facts.
Like I love.
Like I just
So that's basically all you want from, is just a, like more of an intro to the zombie and where they, or the king and queen, where they came from.
I really do.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm most curious about. I think that we can kind of piece together how the outbreak happened and things like that and the aftermath when it gets out. But with the king and queen, that's such a unique twist that Snyder did. And we just need answers.
I need to know.
I think the strongest storyline for me that they can actually really, like go really deep with is the Lost Vengeance crew, which is the actual search and rescue team that we
Ooh,
saw in the
yeah.
monologue. I would love to
Mhm.
see everything
Yeah.
about them, how they, how they came to be. How Dave Bautista, like obviously when he wakes up, like from that horrible nightmare of murdering his wife, because he had to. Like he knocks over a Medal of Honor, it looks like, so obviously, he did see, a president at some point, because he's like a,
They
like
even
a
make a
very
reference to
tactical
it.
special forces guy that did some pretty amazing stuff, overseas or whatever. There's so much stuff that you can play into in that sandbox of the Lost Vengeance crew.
Yep.
The mother and daughter dynamic. And the thing I love about that was that, even with like, these characters just holding up pictures of their family, like that just said so much, because
It did.
Yeah.
that one woman just had she had a little girl who had a soccer ball in her hand. So, according to what Zach was saying, like that was just, like she didn't have any actual real tactical experience. She just happened to be a soccer mom that was thrust into the world and had to, like become
Adapt.
sufficient, in
She had to
weaponry and all
adapt.
that stuff. And again, like we had mentioned this many times before, it's just so great to see Zach being treated in a fashion where he can, create his own IP and like really nobody's saying like, well, I don't know about that, like he's really getting some real serious deep love from Netflix. And
Yep.
that's awesome because, for years I've been a fan of this guy and I just seen him just get shit on constantly by studios. And, it's nice to see somebody when they actually, just
the
like us,
recognition
when
they
the show
deserve.
becomes successful, when we actually find our pocket and you feel
Yeah.
like, like, oh yeah, this is, like I just feel so comfortable, like, in this, particular moment of my career. So that's Army of the Dead. If you guys haven't seen it, go on Netflix and check it out. It's definitely worth your time. And for 2.5 hours, it doesn't slog at all.
No.
It really doesn't. So that's our show, guys. Like I said before, please like and subscribe. It just helps us get out to more people. And join us next week. We've got Loki coming up in just mere weeks, actually. And we're actually going to do a Loki retrospective next week. And I know that Jenna here is really, really excited about that. Actually, both ladies are excited about this. And Jenna's probably going to dress up like Loki. If I'm not, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're doing. We're gonna delve into Loki's history. So join us next week, and we'll see you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.